welcome back. It gets crazier every day. Just a quick scan of the headlines at my site or any good site, real site, Honest News, shows you a litany of almost science fiction absurdity. I mean, not to mention danger. This is nuts. This talk about recovery. Well, we'll get onto that more in a couple of minutes. Just a few other headlines to mention here. Nancy Pelosi leads the Democrats in urging Obama to keep the government-run health plan. Ford to boost industrial capacity and industry-wide auto sales on signs the recession is ending. What tea leaves are these people looking at? But here's the kicker for me. Now, you know how these people in control like to telegraph their arrogance? By actually telling us what's going to happen or what may happen. Well, today, the usurper-in-chief, the teleprompter reader, the marketing dream, Barack Obama, warned America that the Taliban, the evil Taliban, must be defeated in Afghanistan or we will be faced with another 9/11 style attack. Now, how dumb can Americans be to accept this kind of transparent crap? It's really insulting, but what's more, it's probably true. These people don't play games. If you look in featured stories at Rense.com for a number of days now, we've had Gerald Celente's most recent short essay up there. The Second American Revolution has begun. There is much to talk about. Gerald is back with us tonight. Thank you, my friend. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. Thanks for having me on, Jeff. Always great being on your show.
Thank you, sir. So we're told here, we either stay in Afghanistan and keep killing and being killed, or we're going to have another 9/11. And I think that there's more truth to that than most people would like to accept.
Well, as far as people believing what President Obama is saying, and you mentioned how stupid can they be, let's not forget we had the idiot emperor in there for 8 years,
yeah.
And you weren't allowed to call the idiot emperor an idiot emperor without being called a Bush basher. And now it's the same thing with Obama. When you tell his core liberal support base, for instance, that he's going to expand the Afghan war, and as you well know, what they've used the Pakistani army as a proxy to expand the war into Pakistan, when you bring forward these truths, they write them off with a quiche-eating grin and a balsamic smile and make up an excuse. Well, you know, he's new and, you know, things take time and, you know, he's going to be pulling out of Iraq, and they make all these different excuses. And on the issue of another 9/11, of course, you know, there are the camps out there that believe that 9/11 was engineered. Regardless of what anybody believes, the fact of the matter is you can't fight other countries, go in and slaughter their people, I don't care where it is, who it is, without creating a lot of resentment and hatred. And so when something happens in the future, we'll call it terrorism, and they're just going to call it revenge. And the interesting issue, we believe, at this moment to look at, is that in a parallel universe, not more than 8 years ago, President Bush was sinking in the opinion polls just as President Obama is. The country was starting to lose faith in him. The media was mocking Bush because he was away on his month-long vacation in Crawford, Texas. And then on 9/11, just a few weeks later, it all changed. And people started looking up to Bush to lead them against the war on terrorism. And his popularity escalated. The same thing may happen now with Obama.
Right, I agree. The stage is set for that. The cliche, the so-called war on terror, of course, has been retired now. You don't hear that being spoken anymore. It's gone to the Smithsonian Institute Semantic Museum wing or something. We have an issue here that Gerald has touched upon. The government running the United States of America, the corporatocracy and more, has created countless millions of martyrs in waiting, ready, willing, and perhaps not yet able, but who knows, to take revenge upon this great Satan. When you lose a family of 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 people, or 40 or 50 relatives, you don't forgive and forget. Doesn't happen. We've killed, with Daddy Bush and Junior Bush, close to 3 million Iraqis. Maybe more. We don't know. My friends in Afghanistan who are over here now tell me that at least 2 million Afghanis have been slaughtered. We don't know exactly how many. They don't count heads over there. They just blow them to pieces. We don't know how many American lives were wasted in Iraq. We haven't withdrawn anyone from Iraq. We've simply redeployed the bases outside the major cities. Big deal. We're going to push another 25 or 45,000 troops into Afghanistan. Literally an unwinnable war. One of our so-called military leaders said we will be there for decades. Right? The British didn't do so well in the 18th century, if any of you are students of history, and we've talked about this. It's an unwinnable war. If you go up, Gerald, to the average person on the street and ask them why are we fighting in Afghanistan, I'd be willing to wage that the vast majority can't give you a straight answer. They can't even mouth the political jabber talk of the administration. They don't know.
Well, you mentioned about the English. How about Alexander the Great? He couldn't pull it off.
No. Yeah, for sure.
And of course, no, the people don't know why. They're out of touch. This is a Michael Jackson society, lest we forget that the major media spent a month and a half covering every details of a pop star, the king of pop. There couldn't be a better metaphor for what's happening to America as
right.
Rome burns, the media fiddles with stupidity. So no, the people are out of touch. The other issue is that we believe that there is going to be something. We don't know what. It may be a false flag issue that is going to be done to intentionally deflect the people's attention. It may be real. It may be an act of nature. Whatever it might be, something big is ready to happen, and we believe it's going to happen probably by autumn, no later than before Christmas, possibly September, October.
Your great personal intellectual radar is up and picking up this. I don't know what it's going to be. I concur with you. I don't live in fear, neither do you. Never have, never will. Most of you listening are of the same mind. But I'll tell you, on many days, I wouldn't quite call it a knot in the pit of my stomach, but I'd call it a feeling, a sense. And I think most Americans are anxiety-ridden enough to share that. But I think you're right, Gerald. Something is obviously of a dramatic nature en route.
Let me explain to you and everyone listening why we believe this is going to happen. You mentioned about the economic conditions and how could anybody in their right mind think that we're on the road to recovery. This is merely a remission from the recession. It's not a